Thanks for joining us on Key Factors, presented by theraceguide.com.au. Stu, Rich and Michael here to take you through a bumper card this weekend at Rosehill Gardens. It's Golden Slipper Day. It's one of my favourite days of the year, Mike. We've got a little added bonus too. We've got a little horse called Winks running all around, going for her 16th straight. But Golden Slipper, one of my most fond memories, I think, is watching Craig Williams after the wet, looking along the rail there, saying, that's where I'm going to go. That's where he booted Miss Finland up the inside, and that was the rest is history. What's your best moment?
I think you had a good bet on that one as well, didn't you? That's why you like it. But it's been on Sky Racing all week. Belle de Jour, the year 2000. What a finish after bombing the start. And she went on to beat Belle Esprit, Black Caviar's father, a few years later in the Newmarket. So she was a really good filly.
Look, could be a day for the swoopers with all this rain about. There is plenty of rain about. That's the talking point. Winks is going to be there, but let's get stuck into it. She's not in the quaddie. We're going to kick on with it's the Group 1 Rosehill Guineas, and this is a fantastic race, Mike. 5 Group 1s on the day, 3 of them in the quaddie. We're starting with the Guineas, as we said. Some serious form lines here. We've got the Randwick Guineas, the Australian Guineas to work out. And then the old New Zealanders, they enjoy this race too. There's going to be a lot of blue caps around on the day with Winks, but there might be a lot of orange ones too, namely the Kiwi Derby winner Ginger Nuts coming across the
He's a really serious horse, isn't he? He smashes the line. What a great name for a tough chestnut, Ginger Nuts. He's a great horse. Group 1, 2,000 metres. Not much tempo in this race, which won't be good for him though on Saturday. Steady to fair only. Not too many litres. Obviously a wet track. Hopefully the races go ahead. And a fair to off rails bias is forecast, but it's more about your horses handling the heavy track on Saturday. So across the 3 key factors, all the 10 races on Saturday, you need mudders, that's for sure. So a heavy track's a key factor for our 4 quaddie legs. Scope, we always put this into these 3-year-old races. We're looking for 3-year-olds on the rise, and position in run. Because there's not too much tempo, near the pace might be better.
Well, let's have a look at the market for the Guineas, and well, punters have just really got to decide here. Is it the Sydney form, is it the Melbourne form, or is it this popular Kiwi on top? But no, it is Inference on top, so it's the Randwick Guineas form holding strong, $3.50. Prized Icon there, really solid. And Ginger Nuts, well, Mike, some people, I think they're going to be dipping in their cookie jar here for the Kiwi Ginger Nuts. Very firm there at, $6.
Yeah, good one, Stu. Good line there. Let's go across to a couple of replays and see. We'll look at Ginger Nuts in a second, but start with the Randwick Guineas and see how the Sydney form lines up against the Kiwi form. This is the Group 1 Randwick Guineas a couple of weeks ago, and we're looking for the winner here, Inference, in the dark green, coming widest into that fast lane, obviously, out wide on the outside rail. Just on his side is Impavito in the Bjorn Baker colours, coming through in the gold, slicing across. And those 3 are right in the finish, aren't they, Stu?
Yeah, we've got to make reference to this lane this day. There's Impavito getting chopped out. How about that? Inference got the run, which made all the difference in the end, coming through strong there at the end.
Yeah, coming through solid. Inference obviously just gets on the line, surges late, but Impavito lifting late after getting chopped out. We're rating that run just as good as the winner.
Yeah,
a really good run from both.
Potentially not too much between them all there in the Guineas.
Both good runs.
Let's have a look at Ginger Nuts, the one that's coming across the ditch. This is a great race here, Mike. I mean, this horse is slow to begin and, well, we'll see here, slices up the inside and, wow, horse it smashes the line.
Absolutely smashes the line. 2,100 metres soft track. That's why we're looking at it. He's out the back with the blue cap and the orange, copping a bump after being 5 lengths slow in the blinkers. Looking front up the inside, looking like he's absolutely going nowhere against group quality horses. Gets to the inside. This is where his surge kicks in, and boy, is it one hell of a surge, Stu.
Yeah, surge, one of your favourite words, Mike, but look at him go here. That is surge, strong to the line. That's what we're saying here, and went on to win the Derby after this, strong form lines.
And no wonder he's popular. That was 25-1. These fans were really happy after that.
Well, he's not going to be that on Saturday. Let's have a look at the key factors. We're looking for the gold bars. Mike, take us through here on the Guineas.
Well, straight away you can see heavy track. Prized Icon, such a classy colt. They won the VRC Derby on a dry track, so heavy track's a little bit of a risk for him. Inference, Ginger Nuts and Impavito. Like we said, we're rating him really well for that heavy track run across the scope. Importantly, all the favourites still have scope. Maybe Prized Icon, maybe not quite as much, but Prized Icon and Coming Through are 2 horses that can get on pace and give a kick, which is a plus with a steady tempo.
Well, 2 gold bars there for each of the 4 favourites. Let's bring up the key factor overall ratings here, and we're going to see, well, let's have a look. It is Inference on top, but hey, there's not much between these and Ginger Nuts. Well, that's a really strong push.
Yeah, Ginger Nuts, great horse. We keep talking about him, and a lot of people out there with the orange caps will be happy to see him. Equal top raider, 3 top raiders, Prized Icon coming through, not too far behind, but looking for our best bet. We've got to go for those top 3. All equal in the odds, but all equal in the ratings, but obviously different odds. Ginger Nuts each way on a wet track. He smashes the line. He's the best bet for us, definitely on Saturday on this wet track. And choosing between the other 2, similar names, similar form lines, different odds. Impavito, definitely better odds at Inference. He will firm on Saturday.
All right, taking the Kiwi Raider in the Guineas. That's the first leg of the quaddie.
Go Ginger Nuts.
Let's jump straight into the second. And look, this is the Golden Slipper. What a race this is. It's the great Australian dream. You purchase a horse with speed. The story is about the owners, the trainers, getting these horses to the races for this $2 million pot. That's what it's all about. No Gay Waterhouse for the first time in 20 years after her. She won 3 out of the last 5, I think. Now it's David Hayes and Tom Davinick. They've got 4 runners in here, and is it a case for Melbourne form this year?
Well, yeah, Sydney siders are usually used to looking at their own form lines, but you've got the Blue Diamond from down south and you've got the Flying Queenslander as well. So it's an interstate raid on the slipper this year. Let's look at the way it sets up for these 3 states. Group 1, 1,200 metres. Plenty of pace from out wide, including the Queenslander Hootson. Should make it a really strong tempo on a really testing track, making a real test for these 2-year-olds. So across the 3 key factors, which will be so important for this closely matched slipper, a heavy track all day on the Saturday. Surge. Usually you want speed horses in the slipper, but we want a bit of stamina in our horse on Saturday and position and run. Big field. You don't want to be too close to the rails and you don't want to be too far out either.
Okay, let's have a look at the market for the slipper. And well, in this market, there's been a lot of change at the top, even only recently when Hootson became favourite after She'll Rain, didn't get the job done in the mud. And that's the question on punters' minds today. And a little bit out there today, I see. $5.50 out to $6 for there. Catchy, well, look, heading the Melbourne Raiders for Hayes after that big Blue Diamond win from Pariah, who's right there as well. But Mike, this is such a great betting race. Chances everywhere we look, and when the gates open, that's just going to be the crowd going nuts.
It's going to be a huge race with lots of big bets on big roughies that can possibly win this race. And let's stick away from the Sydney form and look at this interstate form and see how it measures up against the Sydney form, starting with the Blue Diamond, which is the biggest form reference coming into this race on Saturday. But there are a few question marks. This is Pariah, 3 wide all the way in the green, moving up really strong. Catchy's back in the pack in the orange and white checks, running on late. There's a couple of Coolmore horses near the pace. Formality in the dark blue fighting on, and Tulip in the pink just behind. The top 4 all go into the slipper.
Yeah, it's a question of where to look here, but look, let's focus on Catchy coming down the outside. This is a horse that really hit the line this day. Pariah, nothing wrong. Tulip right there in behind. These are serious horses.
Yeah, 2 massive runs from the top 2 horses, which makes you really confident for them on Saturday, but a Reduced Choice Colt, fast net rock filly up against Tulip, who's proven on a wet track, so big questions on the top 2 on the wet.
All right, well, could it be the Blue Diamond form? Let's have a look at the Magic Millions form, and this was Hootson at her best, jumping the gates. We didn't see that in this replay, but there she is out in front. Left to challenge, but really held them off.
Yeah, a bit of off-rails bias this day, that's why she's edging off the rails, but first time to 1,200 metres, she set an absolutely speedy tempo, gave them every chance to run her down, but they didn't. That's Medina T in the blue, just kind of tapering on her run there. And Chauffeur's the one coming to the outside, who got the good run, out wide off the strong tempo. And that's Invader back on the inside, closing off in the worst ground. He's in the orange, coming about 5th.
Yeah, look, too fast, too strong. Chauffeur, as you said, tried his heart out as well. Probably doesn't get a run in the slipper on Saturday, but look, the Queenslanders will be cheering her home. We know that.
She's unbeaten still. She's a good filly.
Well, let's have a look at the all-important key factors. So much to look at here for the 2-year-olds in the slipper. Take us through this. Where's the gold?
Well, such a hard race to measure up, but thank God the key factors is quite a nice little pattern there, isn't it? Hootson and She Will Rain, both speed horses. Both would be really short price favourites, 1,000, 1,100 metres on a dry track. But do they have the stamina of the 1,200 metres testing track with wide barriers? Both similar questions on them. Catchy and Pariah. The form ratings are through the roof for those 2 horses. They draw perfectly, but a heavy track's a big question mark on those 2. And there's the 3 horses well suited in the conditions. Tulip, Frolic and Invader, all proven in the wet. And Tulip's the only one drawn well out of those 3.
No gold bars there, I see, for Hootson or She Will Rain. So the 2 favourites, no gold. Let's have a look at the overall ratings as we try and assess this slipper. And well, it's the Blue Diamond form on top. We've got Catchy, Pariah, Tulip. They're all there. And hang on, Trapeze Artist. There's a real sneak up the ratings.
Yeah, he's flown up the ratings, hasn't he? Flew up the form ratings as well after that massive win at Canberra by a few lengths, beating some good horses, including Chauffeur, who was so close to Hootson. So he's right up there on ratings. Catchy and Pariah. Look, they've got better form ratings than Tulip, but Tulip is proven in the wet. She's a daughter of Piero. He won the slipper a few years ago. I reckon it's her time to shine. She's a great, classy, Coolmore filly who's so tough, which is so important on Saturday, and she smashes the line. Tulip each way all day for us, and you can't ignore Trapeze Artist with the blinkers on after that last start win. That was huge.
We love a bit of value in the slipper. Well, look, there's a look at the first 2 legs of the quad. It's been a cracking start with the Guineas in the slipper. Stay tuned after the break, and we'll wrap up legs 3 and 4 on the big Golden Slipper Day this weekend. Welcome back to Key Factors, presented by the raceguide.com.au. We're on to the Group 1 Galaxy this weekend, and it's not just a Galaxy, it's the Nathan's famous hot dogs Galaxy. How about this marketing budget from the US franchise opening up in Parramatta? Serious marketing budget there to get a Group 1 on your radar first up. I like that. But look, it is the Galaxy. We've got some absolute speedballs outside. We've got Rosehill jumping from out there. English, well, she's trying to make it back-to-back, and I mean, this race, you've got so many Melbourne Raiders, I think 6 in the market here, and look, it's just one of those races. I mean, in the last, I think it's 10 years, we've had, last 6 years, sorry, $10 and over have been the winning value. So
looking for roughies in this race for sure. You mentioned the hot dogs.
Yeah.
Some of these jockeys on 50 kilograms on the bottom of the weights will be desperate for one of them. Let's look at the way the race sets up. 1,100 metres, Group 1. Look, fair to probably strong tempo on this race, actually. There's probably a bit of a mistake on that page. Fair to strong tempo we're expecting on Saturday. Conditions, wet conditions expected, and the bias we talked about before, fair to off rails, but it's more about getting sprinters that handle the track. So across the 3 key factors based on those conditions, heavy track once again. Rosehill Gardens, a few of these sprinters coming from Melbourne, maybe a negative for them. Never been to Rosehill, and a couple coming from Randwick as well, probably prefer Randwick. And position and run, once again, the strong tempo, you need the right spot.
Well, as I mentioned before, based on previous runnings of this, the winner might not be on this front page as the market. So let's have a look at this market. And, well, on top, it is Russian Revolution there, $5.50. Try and do it first up too. English, well, went from the inside to the outside there, beating Rosehill in the mud the other day. Music Magnate went around the same day. And look, money for Supido here, $13 into $9 there today. And Phil Swoop's right there as well, coming off his Oakley plate run. So where to look here as well?
Well, it's a big move for Supido early, isn't it? So we'll have a look at the obvious lead-up rates, the Challenge Stakes, which he was in at weight for age, obviously. Now he drops in the weights into a handicap on Saturday. Let's see how he went in that race at English 1. English is the mare with the white cap, red sleeves, just behind that strong tempo, slicing through the inside, like Stu said. Redzel out wider in the red, fighting on, getting to the fast lane. Supido's on his back in the blue, peeling wide too.
Getting to the lane, that is the question again. Here's English coming out, gets the job done. But yeah, I think we've really got to focus here. Redzel was right there in the lane. How do we weigh that up? And Supido looks like every chance in behind.
Well, absolutely. Supido had the right lane and the drop on the strong tempo. English had the drop on the strong tempo, and Redzel was up on the strong tempo. So 2 positives for Supido. Maybe he's flattered by that run, just maybe.
Well, look, that's just a strong win by English first up. And we're going to take you back to the TJ Smith because, look, let's face it, there's not much better sprinting form in Sydney than the TJ Smith. This was earlier, this time last year. And we got English here. We're looking at Redzel as well. And there's obviously a boom horse down the outside.
Well, yes, it's actually Dothrakis, isn't it? Same colours as Redzel, but Fell Swoops near the pace with the pink and the blue and white sleeves. Fighting on now, the only horse to fight on from near the pace. English coming out widest. We know her colours. We just saw her, the red sleeves and the white cap. It's almost an opportunity to whet the appetite for the championships coming up. Darren Floundil chimes in with a big boom down the outside. But the important thing is here are the margins. Yeah. 2nd and 3rd, clear margins to 4th. That's big form ratings for those 2 horses.
And importantly, we know Phil Swoop just loves the wet. And Matty Dale, he always says how much he loves it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He's definitely a mutter, Phil Swoop, and underrated on the wet.
Well, let's have a look at the key factors here. We're looking for the gold, heavy track all day.
Well, we mentioned he's underrated in the wet. Not many people are talking about apart from Matty Dale this week. So he's almost trying to spruik his horse. There he is, Phil Swoop. Gold bar for heavy track. English, we know she likes it. She won last start. Russian Revolution, good in soft tracks. Seems a tough schnitzel colt. He should handle it. But across to Rosehill, maybe English is a question mark. And across to positioning run, Russian Revolution drawn so wide. Fell Swoop, all the ticks. Loves Rosehill and drawn the perfect barrier.
Well, it could be a real sense of that genuine mutter, really coming through when we have a look at the overall ratings. Let's bring it up. There is Fell Swoop there, so we've found that at 12 rating points there. English 11.5. Russian Revolution's there as well. So look, there is a margin here to Phil Swoop, and well, did you just take these wet ratings?
Well, yeah, TJ Smith ratings on a soft track are superior to most of his other sprinters, and Russian Revolution, huge scope if we factored that in. He could be better than them in the future, but for now, he's not. So choosing between those 2, we had to go with Fell Swoop. Massive odds. We think he'll firm. We think he's a genuine mutter. You look on your form guide, it's 1 start for nothing. Completely ignore that. He should have won by 2. He's the best bet for us on each way. He'll firm. And the trifecta, the top 4 raters, leaving out Music Magnate back in distance. All
right, well, let's look at the 3rd leg of the quaddy. That's going to be a great race. Love the market there as well. Let's wrap it up with the Epona. This is a race for the mares. We've got Ilu looking for the hat-trick after getting the better of Van Dancer last week, and Song and Laughter was there. Allegria was there as well. So there's some form lines. Happy Hannah. Well, Peter Snowden avoided all the wet and went down to Melbourne and now comes back to the wet.
Well, she's got to face a really wet track, doesn't she? And she's back in the autumn. What does she expect? She's going to get wet tracks. Let's look at the way this race sets up. Obviously, a wet track she'll face on Saturday. Importantly, set weights and penalties for these mares. We'll talk about that more in a second. 1,900 metres, a fair to steady tempo. It really depends on couple of the roughies down the bottom, what they do. It could really be a slow tempo on Saturday if those roughies don't go forward. The wet track we talked about, the bias, less important than the heavy track. Across the three key factors, heavy track once again. Yeah, that set weights really sets up for a few horses here. They're really well weighted compared to the less classy types. And reliability, after a tough day at Rosehill, we need a reliable mare to get us home, Stu.
Yes, we do. Let's have a look at the market, and it's the aspiration form that's just, well, they're the ones that dominate the market here. We've got Van Dancer looking to turn the tables on El Lou. Allegria's right there, Song and Laughter's right there, and Happy Hannah's in amongst them there, but potentially could be adrift on the wet track come Saturday.
Well, she might even get scratched, mightn't she? I mean, we'll see what the Snowdens do, but let's have a look at, you talked about that lead-up race, we've got to have a look at that form and see how those favourites in the market fared in that race. El Lou, back on the inside with the purple sleeves, off a steady tempo, slicing through and getting the win. Song and Laughter over race this day. She's in the red leading. She had to go the lead on the turn. She was over racing and she peaked late. Allegria is coming to the fast lane, isn't she, Stu? And storming home late.
Yeah, storming home there. But you've got to look at Van Dancer here in behind. The whip's out, but she just really sticks on. El Lou gets the job done. I mean, yeah, look, plenty of look. Allegria gets home well here.
Was such a sneaky, quiet ride for Van Dancer, wasn't it? They weren't really pushing her along at the turn, and she's really strong through the line in the yellow here. Maybe the steady tempo helped El Lou up to 1,600 metres. A stronger tempo, if there is one up to 1,900 metres, is much different for her.
Well, they're most of the ones in the market. Let's have a look at Happy Hannah, and we're going to take you up to second up last time. That's the all-important bit for this run in the blue and white.
Well, yeah, another Group 3 race, another race at Royal Randwick, and like you said, Stu, second up. So let's see how she does here. She's in the blue and white back on the inside with none other than Dixie Blossoms on her back. She stays to the inside. Dixie Blossom slices through the pack. Look, it's a good, solid run in third. It rated really well, but it's much different on Saturday, isn't it, Stu?
Yeah, it is different. It must be good for you to see Dixie Blossoms there. I know you've had a crack in the Donny, but Happy Hannah, we're looking at the inside here, sticking on really well, and these are really great horses around her.
Fantastic horses. I'm just watching Dixie, aren't I? But yeah, Happy Hannah, really high form rating in that race. But like I keep saying, 1,900 metres, heavy track, second up. So much different to that second up run.
All right, well, it is the key factors. We've got to wrap up this quaddie. Take us through the gold bars here, Mike. The punters are looking for the gold.
We've already talked about a Happy Hannah and a heavy track maybe risk. That rating could even be lower. Maybe we're being a bit generous, but she's not really exposed to it yet. One of the big things in this race, only the favourites are well suited at the weight. Some of these less classy types, not well suited at the weight. So there's that top 5 with 3 with gold bars. Across to reliability, El Lou can sometimes go pop at the end of her prep and put in a really bad run at short odds. So she's not the most reliable. Van Dancer and Allegria always try their best. So reliable.
Well, usually these mares races are so open, but as you say, only a few of these are really well weighted, and only a couple of reliable types there. So let's have a look at the overall ratings, and well, we can see here there's a really good spread to finish off the quaddie, but it's really Allegria and Van Dancer that we've got well on top.
Well, yeah, questions on El Lou, like we talked about. Questions on Happy Hannah, like we talked about. Song and Laughter hasn't won at Rosehill for a long time, if ever. I don't think she has. So it really leaves us with those top 2, and Allegria is the top rater. She's so well weighted in this race. But sometimes you've got to go with your gut. Van Dancer, a bit more tactical speed, drawn a little bit better. She's maybe got a little bit more scope. So if you're choosing between those two horses, it's Van Dancer for us on the each way. Both of these mares are each way morals for us. I wish one of them got scratched so I could really back the other one hard. Van Dancer on the each way is a special. And a Quinella. Those two horses are so reliable. A great Quinella bet too.
Each way morals all day. That's got to be a good thing to end the last. Let's wrap up the quaddie. Look, the team's been flying in recent weeks. We had that good $1,600 collect a few weeks ago. It's been very close the last few weeks. We need to get back on the winning page. Heavens Above was obviously one of yours last week. Let's keep this momentum up deep into the autumn. How wide are we going with this slipper?
Well, we're going strong, aren't we, Stu? We expect this to be a really wide, really long quaddie with sort of 10, 20, 30%. But look at that, 83% going really strong. The first race, we talked about Ginger Nuts. Inference and Impavito, we're rating them similarly on their last run. Impavito, massive odds like we talked about. Across to race 7, the Golden Slipper, we could have had so many horses, but we've ended up with those 5. The Quinella from the Blue Diamond, 2 horses you know will smash the line on a wet track in Tulip and Frolic, and you can't leave Trapeze Artist out of those odds. Please don't miss him out of the quaddie. Across to race 8, there's the top raters, leaving out Music Magnate back in distance like we said, and the super reliable mares to bring us home. hopefully surging clear to get the win.
Yeah, we definitely hope there. And I saw this earlier and did a quick little sum. I had Impervito into Trapeze Artist, into Fell Swoop, into Allegria for $1, paying over 10 grand, so we can hope.
Well, that'll pay the annual wages, won't it, Stu?
Yes, it will. Well, look, it's going to be a wet track at Rosehill this weekend. We know that. The race guides are going to be all important to get all your profiling for these 2-year-olds and all the other runners on the day. 5 Group 1s. Head to theraceguide.com.au from 9 o'clock on Friday morning to get all your inside information, and have a fantastic slipper day out there, and good luck to the ATC.
Cheers, good punting.